Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 Twitter handle, you know the drill. And I'm joined today by Sean Martin, at Sean Martin TCW, and Alison McConnell. How you doing, guys? You all right?
Very well,
Not bad, Tony. Yourself?
I'm okay. Oh, you feeling pressure? Been the buzzword all week, isn't it? Pressure.
Indeed, aye.
Sean, Celtic head to Dingwall on Sunday, hoping to preserve a 6-point lead at least, all depending on what happens 24 hours previous. But there seems to be this cranking up of title pressure and title jitters and all that kind of stuff, Sean. Celtic haven't lost a game in 27 league games.
Yep, that was going to be my response there. That was going to be 27 unbeaten. I mean, it was 33 unbeaten. It now reverts to 27. But again, what I says to you earlier in the week still stands. That is money in the bank in terms of belief and credit. I don't think the panic button is anywhere near getting pressed. I don't think it needs to be. The fact that Rangers played the day before means that the gap could be 3. But again, it's still a gap of 3 getting into that game. It's not like it's levelling it up. It's the ball is very much in Celtic's court. It's going to be until it's sealed. I would argue the pressure is far more on Rangers than it is Celtic. It is a different type of pressure. I've said that to you guys before. Celtic have experienced both this year and dealt with both so far, being the chasers and being the ones being chased. So it'll be more of that. And I think, and again, I don't want to keep going back to Sunday, but I still would argue there was nothing between the teams. There's not enough happened in that game to derail Celtic's confidence. So I think it should be business as usual.
Alison, if you're Ange Postecoglou, you want to be in Celtic's position, don't you? And if you're Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, you also want to be in Celtic's position, leading from the front.
Yeah, I think Celtic have it within their grasp. They know it's their fate rests within themselves. They're not relying on Rangers dropping points. It's very much what they do to get over the line. It's not looking over their shoulder. I don't think they have to be looking over their shoulder, but I do think there is some pressure going up to Dingwall, because I think there's always pressure after you come off the back of a big defeat, because all of a sudden there is a focus on how you handle that adversity, how you come out of it, how you pick yourself up. I think you've seen evidence throughout the course of this campaign that suggests Celtic will regroup. They will go again, but I do think it's a difficult fixture. I do think it's a hard and awkward place for teams to go. And I think there is an extra layer to it just because of the circumstances around last Sunday. And I think too, maybe what adds to that is just the fact that Celtic didn't play particularly well at Hampden. I think you've seen them play much better in recent months. So I think there's maybe a question about whether or not you find that form again. I thought there was all sorts of accusations is maybe too strong a word, but there were question marks over whether or not they looked a bit lethargic, whether or not there had been a drop in energy. I think maybe a combination of that and how Rangers set up against them maybe lent itself to that kind of performance. But I do think what you'll find is that all eyes are on Dingwall, but equally you would also say that Fir Park isn't the easiest of grounds either for Rangers to go to. And I think sometimes on the back of big performances and big results, when there's been a lot of adrenaline and then it dips and you're going into a game where you're expected to win, as Rangers will be on Saturday, I think sometimes that invites an element of pressure too.
Sean, Celtic made light work of Ross County the other week at Celtic Park, 4-0 scoreline. But since Anthony Ralston scored a 97th minute winner, Ross County haven't lost at home. 3 wins, 4 draws, I believe. A lot of people are saying if Celtic can head into the Rangers game still 6 points clear, their nerves will be a bit more settled. Do you go along with that theory as well?
I mean, that's basically what David's saying in the comment there.
Chilpel
obviously mentioned it's a tricky game. It is a tricky game. I mean, it's 3 wins and 4 draws since in their home game. Since that anti-Ralston game. So at Victoria Park, they're formidable, but looking at it a wee bit deeper, better for Celtic is that in those 7 games, Ross County have conceded in 6 of them. So it's not like it's an impenetrable fortress. They have conceded. They might not have lost, but they've conceded. And probably, depending how much stock you put in, the split, basically. In that 7-game run, they defeated only one side, which was Motherwell, who finished in the top 6. The rest were all in the bottom 6. I say the rest, there was only another 2, but St Mirren and St Johnstone. But again, and I pointed this out before the Parkhead game, and I know it was a 4-0 game, but it was still worth pointing out that County were, I think, at that point, 3rd in the form table. That stretched away back 20 games or so. If you look in the last 5 games, they're 4th in the form table. Over the last 10, they are 3rd, like they were the last time that Celtic played them. Stretch it to 20 or 25 and they're 4th again. But basically what I'm trying to say is, and this is what I said before the Parkhead game, they've been good for quite a while. It's not a flash in the pan run that they got top 6. So it is going to be a tricky tie. I don't disagree with anybody that says that. Nonetheless, Celtic will still be favourites, still be expected to make an impact, a reaction, as Alison put it, in their own away form. I mean, Celtic's past 10 away games, it's 1-8, drawn 2, which obviously you would expect given that they're unbeaten in 27. But it's still it's overwhelmingly wins. It's not scraping draws away from home. County's home form over that same 10-game span is 1-4, drawn 5, lost 1. So again, it's good, but Celtic's is better. And if you look at the goals, and as I've mentioned, County concede at home even though they're not getting beat. Celtic have scored over 3 times more than they conceded in those away games. Well, County's is pretty much a muchness. They've got 18 goals and conceded 13. So I think everything favours Celtic for it, despite the fact that County's home form is impressive.
Gerald Coyle throws this one into the mix. The shot will be at Fir Park. Well, there you go. We shall wait and see. Now, selection-wise, Celtic have problems again, Sean. Josip Juranovic is out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury. That's a big blow to Ange Postecoglou because Josip Juranovic was finding some form. Alison, do you concur with that Josip will be a big miss? Because Creation's been a bit of a revelation since he came into the side, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's your first choice fullback in that position. I think that's been clear over recent months. What I would say is that I think Anthony Ralston did particularly well. I think he did better than anyone would have envisaged the way he played from the start of the season up to December when he featured fairly regularly and Juranovic was playing on the left at times. I think he has something to offer. I think he maybe also has a quiet point to prove. He'll have been frustrated, I think, at not being featuring regularly over recent months. But yeah, I think it maybe just upsets the balance when you have your first choice player in one position who's not available. I think it can be a setback. What I would say is I think Anthony Ralston has done enough to suggest that there'll be confidence in him coming back in, and I think he himself will want to come in and just showcase some of the kind of form and attributes that you saw in the opening months of the campaign.
David Gillespie comes in and says, need Tony to recapture that mid-season form. I take it he's meaning Ralston and not me.
No, I don't know. Clarify that one.
Ambiguous there, so I wasn't sure. Sean, Tony Ralston returning to the scene of a career high this season when he scored that 97-minute winner. And I mean, John Curry's just said it there. It was a massive moment in the season, wasn't it?
Yep. I mean, we've spoke about it plenty of times on here when we were doing our goals, important goals, all that kind of thing. I think, I mean, as I've said already this week, I thought Juranovic had a good game against Rangers and I thought his absence was notable. Conversely, I thought Ralston struggled at right back. I actually thought he'd done better at left back. I've said that as well. But what you miss with Juranovic, arguably as much as anything he contributes directly, is the versatility that he gives you. I mean, we don't know that if Greg Taylor isn't ready. I suspect he will be ready. But regardless of that, you notice if Juranovic isn't there because you'd expect if Taylor wasn't ready that he would be the one to switch to left back rather than, for instance, Liam Scales to come in. But not having Juranovic means that you'll lose an added layer of cover, and that's where I would be more worried about his unavailability rather than simply the starting right back position, if you know what I mean. He's obviously clearly a prominent figure within the squad already as well. You see that whether it's social media, the way that other teammates talk about him, that kind of thing. So I don't think it's the starting right back berth that's the worry as much as his presence and the fact that he offers cover in a couple of different positions. Ralston, I agree, he's been good this season, very good in fact. I was obviously beating the drum that he should have been in the Scotland squad the last time as well. It should be fine with Ralston at right back. It's just the limited options overall that would concern me. Case in point being Welsh finishing the game at right back, and Ralston's finishing the game at left back on Sunday because Juranovic and Taylor both picked up knocks.
Yeah, indeed. Now, another one who will hopefully come back in and who they missed last week is Georgios Giakoumakis. Alison, you hoping to see him come back into the starting fold?
I think Celtic missed his physicality at Hampden. Last week I thought Kyogo struggled just to get in the tempo of the game. I thought he didn't look fit. I thought it's no real surprise. You think the lad was out from Boxing Day, missed a huge chunk of the season, so I don't think it was any real surprise that Kyogo looked a bit leggy. So I think if Giakoumakis is fit, I think he goes straight back in, and I think Maeda goes back out wide, where I think he's probably more effective. And then you could see a Kyogo Furuhashi maybe make an impact coming in off the bench just as he tries to get minutes back into his legs again. But yeah, I think Giakoumakis, he's very much a player in full confidence at the minute, given his goals that have come since the end of January. I think, there's a belief about his performances just now that what weren't there in the opening half of the season, but what you've seen is a real statement that he fancies himself as his first choice Celtic striker over recent weeks. And I think if he's fit, I think he goes straight back in again.
Sean, do you concur with that Giakoumakis comes straight back in if he's fit?
I think so, aye. I think the front three of him, Maeda and Jota were dovetailing really well. I keep using that word dovetailing, but they were because they were interchanging wings. The three of them were, and I include Jota in that, the three of them were harassing defenders. I don't think Sunday should distract from that. I think if Giakoumakis is fit, I think it should be the three of them up front again. Yeah,
I totally agree. If Giakoumakis is fit, then that's the three I would play up front: Jota, Maeda, and Giakoumakis through the middle. And I'm inclined to agree with Alison that Kyogo can come and make an impact from bench if needed. Now, Sean, we can't escape the fact that Rangers are playing 24 hours before. You've got the fixture graphic, haven't you? And if they do win, then the pressure will be ramped on Celtic for the trip to Dingwall. But that's, again, it's just how Celtic handle it. The rest is white noise. They can't control what happens to them tomorrow at Fir Park. They can only control themselves, can't they? And it's just imperative that they go and get it.
I mean, you're right. The rest is noise. It is only about what Celtic do, really, from now until the end of the season. Tomorrow, obviously, the Rangers fixture get moved or moved back to, I think, when it was meant to be scheduled and all of that stuff. So they play before Celtic this weekend. After that, they obviously play one another. But then after that, Celtic play before Rangers for 2 games in a row. And then obviously the last game they play at the same time. Sure. And all right, the game week 37 won the Dundee United away, the May 11th. It's like 15 minutes of a difference for the kick-off time, but you never know. Midweek, 15 minutes of a difference could make a difference. So they'll just need to deal with it, basically, this time. I think there was a comment further back, if I can find it, where pointing out, I think it was Frank, that's it there, must go into the Glasgow Derby 6 points in front simply because Rangers will be of the opinion they can beat Celtic again. And then it would only be a 3-point lead. I agree with that. I think that's a fair point. Rangers will go into the next derby with the confidence that they might be able to beat Celtic again. Now, you'd still rather have a 3-point lead than be fighting out or being the chasers. Don't get me wrong, but I think 6-point lead minimum should be the hope getting into it.
Yeah, you agree with that, Alison? 6-point lead minimum being the hope getting into the Rangers game.
I think it will certainly be the ambition. I think it will certainly be how Celtic set their stall out this weekend. I think in some ways...
Oh, Alison's Wi-Fi gone again.
The gremlins.
The gremlins
there. So I think I think the focus really just now is on Dingwall, making sure they emerge unscathed, taking all 3 points. And I think they'll probably be wary of getting too far ahead of themselves and doing maths that might not come to the right equation, given all the vagaries that can take place round about it. I think it becomes a very simple and very cliched way of looking at it. Yeah. But I'm fairly sure that the setup within Lennox Town will be one game. You cross off one game and then you go into the next one and you take it from there.
Well, Kevin Ferrier's a confident man. He's going for a 5-1 win, Sean. There you go. No nerves with Kevin. There you have it.
Now, I'm interested we'll do the score predictions at the end, but I'm interested about the rest of the team as well, because obviously you'll have seen Reo Hatate's comments to, I think it was a Japanese publication, was it?
Yeah.
About how being tired and jaded. I think that's going to come as no surprise to anybody that's watched him play. I think you see a bit of that in his play, even if he is having a decent game. And I didn't think that he was poor, any poorer than the rest anyway on Sunday. But I think you could see that in the last few games that he was getting a wee bit jaded, a wee bit tired. So while the comments might not come as a surprise to any, used to actually think that it's going to impact the team selection, because I'm erring on the side that it won't.
No,
I think it might. I just thought that Matt O'Reilly offered something when he came off the bench at Hampden. I think he probably found himself quite unfortunate not to start the game. I wonder. I think it might be between Tom Rogic and Reo Hatate, but I think you might see Matt O'Reilly start up at Dingwall, just because he has a bit of freshness about him. I think he has an athleticism about him still, and I think he offers that creative outlet. I'm not sure if that would be for Reo Hatate or if it would be for Tom Rogic. I think at the times when Rogic and O'Reilly have played together, it's not the balance hasn't been quite right. So I don't know if it points to maybe Rogic going out and Matt O'Reilly coming in, but I think you'll see a tweak to the starting lineup on Sunday for certain.
The fact that Tony, sorry, what you were going to say, Tony?
Yeah, I think as well at times when he's played the horses for Corsi's team, he's turned to Beaton. You know,
Beaton
can give you that physicality, because it might be that in the game.
I presume this is what David's going to hint at. If he's wanting Cal push forward, Cal McGregor push forward, it will be. It would be Beaton coming in, but
the thing about Beaton is Beaton hasn't let Celtic down. When he's
played
when he's played
defensive mid, no, he's not.
You know, recently, I think he was superb.
That's the point. I think it might be quite a similar game in terms of space and awkwardness in terms of Livingston, and I wonder if Beaton is a solution there, and I think you could then possibly offer a rest to both Tom Rogic and Reo Hatate. And O'Reilly and Beaton and play Cal McGregor in a slightly more advanced position.
You've got David Turnbull to consider as well now.
Very much so.
All the things that Reo Hatate mentioned in his interview was all things that actually Alan Morrison in his column last week, was it, or the week before, had posited that could be playing a role in the kind of the way that he was perceived after 60 or 70 minutes and stuff, and about adjusting to life in Glasgow, all of those things, and that he could maybe do with some rotation. Now, James Daly did a column the other day recently building on that, saying that probably what you said, Alison, that Matt O'Reilly should probably be coming in to start for the majority of the run, and I do think that's a good idea. I think he made, all right, it didn't make a game-winning difference on Sunday, but I do think he made a difference when he came on. I think he often makes a difference. He very rarely has not done anything of note when he comes on, or when he starts. Indeed, he does it constantly. Whether that would be alongside Rogic on the tighter pitch up north, I'm not sure. Or maybe instead of him with Turnbull coming in, or even as David and you two have mentioned there, Beaton coming in and pushing McGregor up one. I suppose we'll see, but I'm not necessarily thinking that because Hatate said that he's tired is going to make the rotation necessarily come out of the back of that, because I'm thinking back to comments that Ange Postecoglou's made earlier in the season, for instance, about, will Tom Rogic be tired coming back from Australia duty and stuff like that? And he's like, well, he'll be tired at the end of the season, that kind of thing. So that's maybe playing in my mind there, but you'll be able to see the predicted lineups, whether that comes to fruition in my head or not. So
I also think as well that it's refreshingly honest from Hatate. He's been asked how he feels, and he just said, "Look, I'm feeling it," because there has been he's played a full season, and there's been an intensity to, since he came in January. So that's fair enough. Players are entitled to say how they feel. I just think for some reason, then we always say it's hard to second guess the manager, but I've just got a feeling that Beaton and O'Reilly will feature tomorrow. On Sunday with Calmac moving forward. That's what's going through my head. I think it's going through Alison's head as well, because I think O'Reilly will definitely play. So it's a question of who who you play beside him. Cal Mack's obviously going to play, so it could be one of Turnbull or Beaton in my thoughts.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he does go Rogic and O'Reilly, to be honest, because he might assume that the game's going to be played mostly in the county half and the spaces won't necessarily be there to be exploited the way that they were against Bodo Glimt and stuff. But nonetheless, midfield's probably the least of the worries, isn't it? Yeah. Given the Juranovic injury, given we don't know about Taylor, although I suspect he probably will be fine. You've got obviously up front, whether Giakoumakis is coming back from the start or not. I think midfield's probably still the strongest area. I would say. It's interesting. I mean, you never know with the left back thing as well. I mean, if Taylor was to be out, again, I don't think he will be, but if he was to be out, Liam Scales was sitting in the stands next to us at Hampden, Tony. Yeah. Like, is he in line for a return? Is he injured? What's going on? Is there any chance that any of the B team boys come into the squad over the next few weeks because their season's now technically over if some injuries take their toll? All that comes into play as well.
My thoughts are you start with players who play in that natural position. I'd play Scales if it came down to it. It's just my thoughts. Alison, would you go along with that? Well, there is that element to it as well, but I just think players have a natural position for a reason, so you don't kind of.
I hear what you're saying. I'm going
to go against that.
It's a decision to be made, I think. Or there's a potential, do you tweak your system? Do you go with a back three rather than a back four? I don't know that we've seen anything that would suggest that way of thinking.
To be fair, I mean, he done it at St Johnstone in Boxing Day. That's the only time he has done it, really. But I mean, he did do it when the personnel was seriously depleted. So you never know.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I think you'll know more when you know who's fit, when you know what personnel are available. I think you've maybe got a better idea.
Yeah, of course. Well, all eyes will be on Fir Park tomorrow, Dingwall on Sunday, Sean. It's probably arguably the most crucial weekend of the season.
Are you trying to avoid a score prediction?
No, I'm not. Yet. Okay. Do you want me to go first?
You go first if you want. I know what I'm picking. I told you on Sunday what I was picking.
You did tell me. I will go first, seeing as how I usually put you two on the spot every other time we do predictions. I will say 3-1 Celtic.
All right. Alison, do you want to go?
I think Celtic will win, but I think it'll be 2-1. I think it'll be quite a tight game.
I'll stick with what I says to you in the aftermath of Sunday, Tony. I think it'll be 3-0, an early goal, and ultimately what I'll consider a reminder of their intent and a reaction from Sunday, I think.
Yeah. Well, as I say, all eyes Fir Park, Dingwall, crucial weekend of the season coming up. We will reconvene on Monday and we'll see if the league table is flipped in any shape or form. But Celtic hoping to preserve their 6-point lead in Dingwall at least on Sunday. Alison, thanks for your contribution. Always enjoy it, Sean, the same as yourself. And yes, housekeeping. Before we go, if you hit the subscribe button, it's £1 for 2 months, and you could also win a £100 gift card. You know what to do by now. Log on to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We appreciate it all the time. All you subscribers and contributors that put their comments in the comment section. We always appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good weekend. I know it's result dependent. If your nerves can take it, we shall reconvene on Monday. All the best.
Take care.
Cheers, guys.